Yeah, just talking and laughing. Yeah, there we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a live episode of Proceed with Passion Q&A with Gary Ware. Hello, Gary. How you doing, man?
Hi.
We tried to time that right. Nailed it. My name is
Nailed it.
Gary Schilling. I am your host of Proceed with Passion, where I like to bring on fellow creative entrepreneurs and talented human beings to talk about their journey, their origin stories of how they came up to in this world, all the hard lessons learned, and ended up doing something that they're truly passionate about and love what they do. And Gary, I am so excited to have you on the show today, man. We connected through LinkedIn, and here we are.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Terry, for having me on the show. I'm pumped. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun time.
Yeah, super pumped as well. And Gary, you are the founder of Breakthrough Play. We'll jump right in here, which is a company where you help other professionals, get creative, get confident, collaborate together with in-person experiences, these trainings that you do to help them kind of use the power of play. So how has that been adjusted, obviously, during the pandemic, because these in-person trainings just aren't happening for you?
They're not at all in person. Yeah, when you have a global pandemic where we need to, be 6 feet or more apart. We're not going to be in person. And again, I had to practice what I preach of being creative, being open to possibilities. And when the pandemic hit, let's just say March, like this is when, the US started acknowledging that this is a problem. I went from having a full calendar. I was like, just like everyone else, 2020 is going to be my year. This is the year. I got this.
Yes.
To all of a sudden, it was March 13th. And that was like when the workshop I was going to do the next week canceled. Well, postponed. And then I was like, what do I do? And I had this moment of like, oh crap. Fortunate for me, I have a marketing background, so I still did marketing freelance. But this is my passion. This is like what I love to do. I love doing these workshops and seeing people connect with each other, and through play have these mind-blowing experiences where they realize, oh, I am creative. Oh, I can do this. And so I was like, how is this going to work in this virtual environment?
Right.
And what I started doing, because I had a lot of free time on my hand, I just started experimenting. I would say, hey, look, I'm hopping on Zoom on Friday. I'm going to test out some games, see if it works. Come on down. Let's see. This could either go amazingly well, or it could be a train wreck. And there were some moments where it was like, that didn't go well. But then there were some amazing moments where I'm like, we could not have done this in the real world in front of each other. And now I have something in my repertoire that I can offer to people that is of high value. And then once I started feeling comfortable with that, I started doing collaborations with people.
Yeah.
Other creative professionals, I said, all right, what do you have? All right, I have this. Ooh, what if we did this? It was like a mashup, where like it's like this a bunny here, right?
Yes.
And we come together and then we make bunny babies because of our ideas.
Yeah, got it.
So that's essentially what happened. And then because we started sharing it with other people, those bunny babies started multiplying, and it was pretty amazing. So that's what I started doing. So I started collaborating, and then I started doing some really cool stuff online. And here I am. I have a full video studio. That was not in the plans for 2020.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Completely shifted. It's so funny, man. Just everybody starting 2020 out, just feeling like, yes, this is going to be it. We're going to be able to do all these big things. And then just so much negativity and things happened with the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, you adjusted, and that's what's key. And it's just interesting. Did you find that people were just a little bit not sure how to use Zoom and all these virtual platforms, and it just got you stayed consistent and just the more people got comfortable with it, the more people were just like, yeah, I can do this on camera?
So the big thing is I was willing to play with it because
Yeah.
a number of people, they go and they say, all right, well, we're just on Zoom. And so they give the same boring presentation. Hi, I'm on Zoom. And they expect it to land exactly how it is in person.
Yeah.
And then people get Zoom fatigue. And I have a thing. I don't think people are really experiencing Zoom fatigue other than people are just so bored of the same old crap over and over again. And so you
Yes.
come in like, oh, we're on Zoom. Oh, it's going to be the same thing. And if you can delight someone,
Yeah.
and I like to say, reimagine it. Like, I couldn't just do the same games that I was doing in person on Zoom. It wouldn't work. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, give your partner a high five. Like,
Yeah.
it just,
Yeah.
so I had to think about like, well, what do I want people to feel? What do I want people to experience? And how can I recreate that in this virtual environment? So I can still get the same outcome of helping people realize that they are more creative than they think that they are.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Now, Gary, I want to take it back a little bit because
Yeah.
you can tell everybody watching this. We have somebody from Facebook. Look at this, Gary. Excited for this one. Gary's background job sounds so interesting. And it's so true. There you go, Gary. You got some fans. But
Woohoo!
like your TEDx speaker, your motivational speaker, facilitator, coach, look at you can tell your energy here. You like being in front of people. You have all this energy. Were you always like that? Because I asked this because I see that you started to major in, computer design, right? And more graphic design. So clearly you wanted to be in front of a screen and not necessarily jumping in front of a ton of people. So were you always a shy guy, introvert, and anything change, or what were you like growing up?
Yeah. So if we could just go back,
Look at this. I love it.
I originally wanted to be a teacher. When I was in high school, I was in the band. I'm a band nerd. I played clarinet,
Okay.
saxophone. I was the drum major. And
Yeah.
when I went to college, I wanted to be a music teacher. And someone told me, Gary, you're not going to be able to make money doing that. You're not going to have a career in that because they're cutting arts from schools. You should probably find something else to do. And I was like, okay. Well,
Thanks, Debbie Dowder.
right? I know. I was like, wah, wah. And so I was looking at, well, what do I like to do? And at the time, I was in a ska band. This is in the late 90s.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Imagine me, no beard, no mustache, and I had like blonde Cisco hair. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm glad social media was not really a thing back then because that would just be completely embarrassing. But so I was like thinking about like, well, what are the things I'm passionate about? What are the things that I love to do? And at the time, I was experimenting with making websites. I was on GeoCities. If anyone, I may be dating myself, but I had a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get sort of website. So I made one for my band. I put our like band photos up there, and people thought that was so rad that they can go on the internet and see, see pictures and stuff of the band. This is really embarrassing, but I said it in my TEDx talk. I was a fan of Christina Aguilera, so I made a Christina Aguilera fan site on GeoCities, and I was like, I wish I can, like, I love doing this. Like, I was super passionate about it. And I learned about the Art Institute. And so I packed my bags from sunny San Diego and moved to Santa Monica to do that. And that's what I went to school for. And I feel like I have this sort of history of like being excited about something.
Yeah.
And then something happened and then it's like a train wreck and then I'm like having to readjust. Because when I went back, after graduating, they said, what did you learn the most about school? Like, because the Art Institute is more of a trade school than a real university. And they always tout like job placement. We'll help you get job placement. And then I said, well, one thing that I learned is that everything I learned here is obsolete now. And like, I was being sort of humorous, but at the same time being true because I learned like on Photoshop 2. Like I learned on like beginnings of Premiere. I learned how to do Flash. Flash is not even a thing. And it's obsolete. But the thing that is so brilliant is I learned how to learn. I learned how to
Love
experiment. I
that.
learned how to adjust. And what ended up happening was after I graduated, because I knew like some web stuff, people were like, "Oh, do you know how to do banners? Do you know how to do this thing called Google PPC?" And I was like, no, but I can figure it out. And so I've
Yeah.
always been that scrappy person that is like, let me roll up my sleeves, let me just jump into it. I'm going to make mistakes, but guess what? No one else knows what the hell they're doing.
Right.
Let's get down. And so that has been my career path where like I went from like designing websites to like now doing marketing, and I had to teach myself how to do that because again, that's not, well, maybe now they're starting to teach digital marketing in schools and university.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit more prominent now, but like Gary, you bring up such the good point because like when I was in college in the mid 2000s, early 2000s, it's like, yeah, a lot of the design students, and I was a broadcast journalism major, we were having these huge cameras on their deck. Like we didn't have like an HD camera was like, there's two of them in the whole department. So the cool kids got it right away,
Right?
you know, but yeah, you are learning on all these old things, like these old editing softwares and all these design tools. And it's like, then you graduate, it's like, well, shit, now I got to spend all this money to learn a new system to like just keep up with the Joneses. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. Right. And so,
Sorry, I love your point of just
yeah.
like, I learned how to learn. And that's
Yeah.
so key. That resiliency is huge.
Yeah, and that's the main thing where you can't take that away. In the trainings that I do, I like to tell people, all right, so you have a few things. You have all the things that you got, your stuff. You have your family, and you have your skills. And someone comes to the door and they said, "All right, I have to take one of the three things." They have a gun. They're like, "What are you going to give me?" Of course, you give up the stuff. And then they come back again. All right, I got to take one of those other three things. What are you going to give me? Fine, here's the skills. And it's funny because, we're not going to give up our family, but a lot of times we prioritize all these other things over our family. At the end of the day, you can get more stuff.
Yeah.
You can get more skills. And that's what I was learning is that, all right, so Flash, that's basically what happened. The world said, "Hey, Flash is not a thing. We're taking that skill."
Yeah.
But I'm like, "All right, cool. Well, I know how to learn stuff. Let me learn something else." And that was one of the things where, I did have to learn the hard way. I did feel like I was a little bit arrogant in my younger days, where I was like, I thought I was the hot shit. Like I'm like, "Oh, come on, everyone should hire me," and people are like, "No, I don't know who you are." And so like I had to learn how to, listen to people better, how to actually understand what are your concerns? Like, because it's not like, when I graduated, I realized at the time there were dozens of web designers, dozens of people saying, "Hey, I can do all this stuff." Again, this is like the mid 2000s. And and all these people were like vying for jobs at, I was in LA at the time at these agencies. And I learned that it was my connections. It was the people that already knew, like, and trusted me that vouched for me. That said, "This young guy, Gary, give him a shot. Like, he's good for it. He's good for it." And of course, this is what our own biases get in the way, and we assume that it is all on our skills. We got it all on our skills. Well, yeah, your skills is going to play a role because you have to be able to do what you say you can do. But at the end of the day, if you're a jerk, who the hell wants to work with a jerk?
Yeah. Oh man, it's so huge. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it goes without saying. A ton of people, we always hear it. It's just like you like to work with people that you feel like and that you like. It's like get somebody to like you, to know you, and then they can trust you, right? And then that's what happened to you. Yeah, absolutely. And everybody who's just tuning in, welcome. We got Gary Ware here, and we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if anybody leaves some comments, please go ahead. We are talking with Gary about how to really uncover and unlock your creativity using the power of play. So if anybody's out there shy, introvert, not afraid, a little bit afraid to get in front of camera, do maybe some virtual speaking events, we're going to go through some exercises here soon. But right now, Gary, we're going through a little bit of your kind of origin story, as I like to call it, of how you kind of came up. You talked a little bit about just in college being web designer and adjusting. And then you really, like you said, you got into marketing a lot, all these other jobs, you did some of the PPC things, but really what was it that sparked where it's like, I want to then like teach other professional leaders, to be confident and get comfortable and do this motivational speaking side of things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I said in the beginning, I always wanted to be a teacher. I loved helping people learn. I love mentoring. And I have this belief that just like a GPS, right? You set a GPS for a course and you make a wrong turn. What does the GPS says? GPS says recalculating. And so I feel like years ago, I set a GPS to be a teacher. And I, was told that you can't make money doing that. All right, recalculating, and I like my heart was set on teaching. And so fast forward, about, man, it's been about 12 or so years, since then, but I found myself at one of the largest independent digital marketing agencies in the world. That's where I met Stephanie Liu. And we worked together, and I was a director of paid media. So under me in my team was about like 30 professionals. I had, 3 or 4 direct reports, and I found myself burning myself out a lot because I thought what you needed to do was, the happiness will come. Like you get that job, you get that paycheck, you get all these stuff. Right. And then you would, the happiness will come. Well, the happiness didn't come. I found myself burnt out a lot. I had on paper all this stuff I should be so happy for, but I wasn't, and I felt like I was broken. And on accident, so this all happened on accident, a mentor of mine told me to take an improv class. And I looked at him like, what? An improv class? But he said, Gary, you want to be a better speaker because of your position. You're having to deliver presentations to clients. You're being asked to speak on stage, for your expertise in digital marketing. And you hate Toastmasters. I did. I seriously hated it. I learned a lot from it, but it was so stressful. It was not my jam. Not knocking it, just wasn't for me. And so I said, all right, I'll sign up for an improv class. Fortunate for me, the company I worked for gave us $1,000 per year on personal development. We can use it to go to conferences. We can use it to take a class. And as a manager, awesome. And as a leader, I was realizing I didn't have those skills. Like I was good at what I did. Like I was the technical skills. I crushed it. That's how I became a manager. It seems like that's the thing at companies. Like you're really good at what you do, or hey, now go manage people. And I'm like, So I was looking for stuff that was going to help me be a better boss because I had crappy bosses, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. And so a mentor, when a mentor that you know, like, and trust gives you a piece of advice, and it may seem a little bit weird, you just do it because you're like, well, they are that sort of, Obi-Wan Kenobi sort of Yoda thing, and all right, we're gonna follow it. And so I took that improv class. Changed my life. And I don't like to hype things up, but this was like legit like game changer.
Yeah. Oh, that's so incredible. Yeah, it's just like, oh my gosh, you have these moments. And of course, like they have their best interest in mind, the mentors. Yeah. Right? They get to know you a little bit. But yeah, and are you still doing improv classes?
Doing my best. So I had been, when I took that first improv class, it was like, I was hooked. I was like, how do I do more of this improv? I was taking improv to anywhere and everywhere. I was taking it to my team. And then for me, like at that time, I saw like, that it was cool and I wanted to share it just because I was excited about it. I didn't at the time see the correlation to business growth and personal development growth. I just saw it as something cool. And so then I wanted to get on stages because I was in band before. Like I said earlier, I was in a ska band. So there was something about performing that I loved when and being part of an ensemble that I got when I was doing improv. So for me, it was play. And it wasn't for a few years then I started to see, these games that we are playing that are helping us be on stage and collaborate with each other and think on our feet actually will help you in business, help you as a speaker, so that mentor was right. And so I am part of a theater here in in San Diego, and we haven't performed in person since March.
Yeah.
But
It's gonna happen. Yeah.
doing our best in this virtual environment. And
Yeah.
since then, I've been teaching these skills to people outside of the performance world. It's called applied improvisation. So using improv skills and techniques in different contexts.
Yeah. Awesome. We got a comment here from Masha in the Facebook Copy Co-op group. Loving your energy, Gary. Masha, thank you so much for tuning in and sharing. Yes, love that. Everybody just tuning in and watching the replay. We're talking with Gary Ware, TEDx speaker, founder of Breakthrough Play, a company that, again, he founded and that helps professionals get creative and confident by using the power of play. And Gary, you just talked about your improv classes, and as you use those skills and some of those games in your work environment, and then obviously you help other leaders kind of apply that to their situation, what are some of the results that you see?
Yeah. So let me break down the science first.
Okay. Love it.
When you play a game, what your unconscious mind is doing is your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between dream and reality. That's why you can go to sleep, have a dream, wake up and like, what? That just felt like...
Right.
It's just how it is. And so when you play, your unconscious mind is like, oh, this is simulation. It's make-believe. That's why in a game, you will suspend all of your judgment and beliefs for the rules of the game. Yeah. Take, for example, Terry, do you golf?
Okay.
Do you golf?
Oh, do I golf?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Right? I know.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. People either say, I kind of, or I'm good. Like, there's like... Because golf is one of those things. If you think about the rules of golf, you all agree to take a tiny ball and get it into a hole that is 200 plus yards ahead of you using a stick. That is not efficient at all.
It's such a frustrating game as well.
Right? It's such a, but yet you suspend all disbelief. You take all of your judgment for the rules of the game. You abide by the rules of the game. And that's what happens when you are invited to play and you play. And so the cool thing about playing is that it's simulation. So like, you're like, oh, this make believe. We're just like sort of doing it. But the cool thing, because your brain doesn't know the difference between dream and reality, the skills and the things that you're learning in the game is actually applying to a future situation, especially when it's done with the right context, so that you can start to see how what you just did in this environment through this game can apply to something else.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So that's how it works.
Yeah.
And so I create these fun experiences where, like, for example, the common things that people have challenges with. And it's interesting because LinkedIn, they have a list every year of the top in-demand skills. And at the top of that list, year after year, is things like creativity, collaboration, emotional intelligence, confidence. Those are things that are at the top of the list of, soft skills. And I call them essential skills. And the cool thing is when you play these games, through the repetitions of the games, now we're learning them because we're doing them, rather than you could go and read, all right, let me learn about confidence. Okay, so I need to do this, this, and this, but it's not going to work because the fact of the matter is, me talking and you, like people watching right now, whether it's live or the replay, you could be taking a whole bunch of notes, and you're like, all right, great. And that's just like at any conference you go to. You take a whole bunch of notes, you're like, all right, this is going to be amazing. But guess what? If you do not do anything with it within 14 days, it will be as if you did not learn it. Because your brain is like, if you ever seen the movie Inside Out, they're like, oh, this is not important, throw it out.
Yeah.
But when you play, you're actually doing it. It's simulation, so you're going to be more likely to retain that knowledge than just taking the notes. So that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, I'm curious, because I always like asking this question, kind of like a project from hell. And so I know that you've had a whole variety of work experiences.
Yes.
But has there been, you don't have to name names, but has there been like a client or a team, a project from hell that you can think of? And then what was the biggest lesson learned from that?
Oh my gosh. All right, let's get into it. So there was usually, so this is the thing. People don't like surprises. People don't like uncertainty. People like to know what's going on. And so I had a client reach out to me and they like, hey, I got these people. We're all in town. It's all so. This is a big tech company, and all of the different HR leaders are in town. They like Gary. I've experienced this. I just need them to experience you. They're gonna love it. I'm like, all right, cool. And so they prep me, but they didn't really prep them. So I came into all of these big wigs. They're already behind. They're already like, so they have a lot to go over, and then all of a sudden, I get introduced. So it's lunchtime, and hey, we're gonna do some activities. Here's this guy named Gary, and he does improv.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing, and so everyone is like, "What? We're gonna do some improv?" And so they're thrown off, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, all right, here we go, Gary, bring the energy. And this is the cool thing about play, is that play and emotions are contagious. So I just had to go and say, hey, look, yes, we're gonna do improv, but guess what? We're not going to, like, you're not gonna be put on the spot and be told to be funny. We have your back. There are some rules of the road that allows us to do that. And I started talking about some of the improv principles, like, making your partner look amazing, being okay with mistakes and stuff like that. And then I slowly started bringing out some games. And there were some easy games at first. Like, literally, like, it was one where, like, we told a story as a collaborative group, and I was pretty much telling the story. They were just pretty much saying yes. And I'm like, hey, guess what? we improvised. And then slowly we started doing a few more. And there was a guy the whole time. He was like this. Like, I can tell, like, he's the guy.
This is good. Yeah. He's like, come on. Yeah, too good for it.
And he's on his laptop the whole time. Like, he's like barely looking up. And it's awkward because he's in the middle. So imagine like a big, like, sort of cafeteria style thing that had the round tabletops and everyone is sitting there. And then slowly people are getting engaged and they're starting to like it. But he's pretty much right in front of me at the biggest table. And he's like, and he just like has this scowl on his face the whole time. He's just looking up. And then every now and then he just like arms crossed. And it's just like, I'm just like, oh my God, this is probably going so terrible. And then at one point, he's gone. I'm like, oh, all right. And that's usually what happens. Like, people, like, they either like are in it, or they're like, I'm done, like, I'm out, and they bounce because it's so, emotions are contagious. Like, and people started having fun, and they started really getting it. It's just, again, they were sort of thrown off. We're animals, and when you scare or startle an animal, like, you don't know what happens. But to my surprise, he was in the mix. He was engaging, like he was participating. And then when we were doing it's one thing to do these activities. It's fun. Like, you can do an activity and you're gonna have what I call a peak emotional experience. And you're gonna have fun. But the magic happens when you can debrief and you can like reflect on what you did and start to think of like, all right, this is how I experienced in this game-like environment, which is all make-believe, it's made up, but it felt real.
Right.
What am I going to do different when I go back to the real world? Because that's where you're going to be met with resistance. Like, you imagine go to any conference, you're inspired, whatever the conference is, you learn so much stuff, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then you go, and then you're met with resistance. You're met with the real world. You're met with all this stuff. So if you don't make a plan ahead of time, you're not going to be able to retain it. And so I love doing a takeaway circle at the end. I say, all right, on a sticky, write 2 things that you've learned and are going to commit to playing with, working with, experimenting with in the next 2 weeks. Because you remember what I said earlier, if you don't do something within 14 days, it will be as if you didn't do it. So I'm very specific about that.
Okay.
And then I get some people to share. So now we're getting accountability because people are like, I'm doing this, and it's great. And that guy raised his hand. And I was like, uh-oh, what's this guy going to say? What's this guy going to say? Like, and then he was saying, you know what? I realized, and this is something very powerful. We have our own sort of perception of the world. And sometimes we don't realize that the things that we do impact other people. And we don't necessarily do it on purpose, but we don't realize that. And through these games, this gentleman realized that his scowl and his resting bitch face affected other people. And he said, you know what? I'm going to try to smile more.
Wow.
I was like, dope, awesome. Like, Oh, and like, and
Yeah.
it's tiny, but we did this game where I had everyone sort of walk around,
Yeah.
and I said, all right, everyone ignore people. All right, and then I said, um, imagine like, so we're playing around, but like, really, how does this feel? Like, really own it. You know, walk around, ignore everyone in the room, just walk around. So essentially, we were doing him, and like, you know, and then I said, all right, now everyone just walk around, smile, and you know, and then I did another one, walk around and act like everyone that you interact with is a friend that you haven't seen. And again, it's all make believe, and we're just sort of playing around, and you know, we get these reactions. But then when we had the debrief, I said, how many people, like the ignore thing, how many people did it feel normal? And number of people raised their hands, you know, number of
Wow.
the, you know, and he was one of them. Like, oh yeah, it's just, I'm a busy guy, whatever. And I, you know, I got some things that like, oh yeah, you know, I got a lot of stuff going on, you know, blah, totally get it. And I said, how many people did not feel normal? Like, how many people?
Hmm.
And this gal raised her hand. And again, I don't know who everyone is, and I don't know what their relationship was, but it caught his attention. And
Yeah.
so again, this is in the context of the game, but they are connecting it to the real world. So this was so powerful because he just thought that was normal. And he had someone raised her hand, and she was very honest. She's like, you know, I felt alone.
Yeah.
I like, you know, I felt like people didn't care about me.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh wow. And like, you can hear a pin drop. It was silent. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And I was like, how does that, you know, how can we tie this back to our day-to-day lives? And someone else said, well, yeah, sometimes when we're so busy, like, we don't realize that, you know, we and they said causing a wake of despair, just
Wow.
walking through the office, one person with that like sort of scowl on their face can cause despair in their wake, not even realizing it, unintentionally.
Yeah.
And that must have hit home to that person. And that was his takeaway of like, yeah, I'm gonna try to smile more,
Yeah.
realizing that I impact my small actions will impact other people. And I was like, job done.
Yeah. Wow. Just for him to have that type of awareness and say that, because it's just like, you should smile more. Well, that's, yeah, like you said, very powerful moment.
And he came up with that. That's this the
Yeah.
powerful thing. It was his idea because think about it any other situation. You know, we all know that person that's like, dude, man, you're a Debbie Downer, man. You bring down but if you go and approach them like that, a lot
Yeah.
of times they're gonna get defensive. They're gonna say, what are you talking about? No, it's not. You know, and
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to have like you know, a collaboration. You're not going to be able to, you know, sort of have a real a conversation because we put up the walls and the shields and, you know, whatever the case. But he came up with that on his own,
Yeah. That's incredible.
and he was open to it. And
Yeah.
that is again the sign of the power of play.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of leads to this, follow-up question, Gary. As you walked away from that scenario, like, all right, guys, thank you. Nice to meet you. Everybody, I assume, claps, gives you a big hug. Gary, when can we see you again? Right. And then you leave. What did you say to yourself? Like, what did you learn about yourself in that moment?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Every time I step into this, whether it's virtual or in person, I'm like, is this going to be the time? The time
Mm.
that it just bombs completely and it just doesn't work. And then it was just another reference point, a few reference points. One, that I'm in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time. Like
Yeah.
like I am needed. Like I felt like I am doing my life's work here. And then it was a reinforcement of like humanity. That at the end of the day, we are all. There's this gentleman I really admire. His name is Brad Montague. If you haven't heard of him, I highly recommend looking him up. He was the one
Okay.
who created Kid President. If you've ever seen those that on YouTube,
Okay.
he has an amazing book right now about grown-ups, teaching grown-ups how to be grown-ups. It's like a children's book for adults, but he basically said we're all just people trying to be loved.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, doing these activities, it really shows the humanity. And I was like, man, I felt so proud of myself to like be able to like keep my cool because we've all been there. We're like, man, this is this is bombing. This is not going good. And I feel like this is where the training, like my training, led me to that
Yeah.
of doing all these activities and being on stage and having these experiences of bombing and failing. And to like, instead of internalizing it and taking it personal, of just saying, you know, that's just an event.
Yeah.
I'm not a failure. That event failed. But just see myself be able to like keep my cool and be able to pivot and adjust and be adaptable and still go through with it and still have the results that I was looking for, the outcome that I was looking for, I was like, all right, that was cool. Like definitely like pat on the back. I'm like, all right, this was badass.
Yeah. And then you can turn this into a business. So you can make money doing this, which is always, always nice. But like you have that more of that purpose. There's a lot of articles and reports, studies that show that like people would rather have like a sense of purpose with their work than like how much money they make. Like it's more important to them of just waking up and being excited about what they do every day. So you were able to figure that out, which is awesome. And that's really the point of this Pursue with Passion, to hear those type of stories. So I love it.
It's the 3 P's: play, purpose, and potential. Those is an amazing book called Total Motivation by Neil Dosey and Lindsay McGregor, and they talk about that. They say that people that can see their work as play, that can purpose, they can see the impact of the work that they do, and then potential, are more likely to stick with it longer, harder than people that focus on the external motivators, which is emotional pressure, economic pressure, and inertia.
Yeah. And I imagine that's really just the foundation of breakthrough play. I mean, and seeing that scenario too of just this team coming together. I'm gonna put the URL breakthroughplay.com, guys, and go check it out, learn a little bit more about what Gary does. Anybody just tuning in, we're watching the replay here at this point. We got Gary Ware here, TEDx speaker, founder of Breakthrough Play. We just heard some awesome stories, some awesome success stories of some of his work in the real life, helping others, empowering others through creativity. And yeah, Gary, it's incredible kind of what you do, and just like have that type of ability just to like get these people kind of out of their shell and out of their comfort zone, Yeah, that's awesome. So now, Gary, I want to talk about a couple exercises. Let's focus on one, because I want to get into the point now where people who are shy, now we have some people who kind of run their own business, some people do work full time, but obviously a lot of people are at home now. So how can they maybe lighten up the mood of a Zoom meeting, but also just gain some self-confidence to get in front of the camera and put themselves out there?
Yeah. So one of the biggest fears that people have is making mistakes.
Of course.
And I like to say failure is an event. It's not who you are. Failure is just feedback. And you only failed if you didn't learn something from it. Again, easier said than done, because when the emotions hit, you're going to be like, oh my God, I failed. We've all had those. And so this game, I feel like is beneficial for a number of people. One, it helps you be creative, thinking on your feet. It helps you deal with mistakes. It helps you in those situations where things are going wrong, and gives you the confidence that you're able to come out of it. And so this game is a game that I invented. It's called Monkey Wrench. And how it goes like this and if people watching want to throw some things in the comments, I'll incorporate that. But it's just going to be me and you, Terry. Terry, you're going to start by telling me, we're going to get a prompt. You're going to tell me a true story based on that prompt. Whatever you say is going to be completely correct. But this is the catch. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in your game. And so you're going to be telling me a true story. And then throughout your story, I'm going to say words. It could be like telephone or alien or whatever. And you have to incorporate that into your story. So your story is going to go from true to completely fabricated. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I want you to, this is all, the whole goal of this is you just keeping your cool.
Yeah.
Being able to adjust, bob and weave. And then we'll talk about it. So,
I love it. We got a couple people watching. If anybody does want to, could they participate by throwing in words too?
Words. Yeah, you can throw in words. I will throw out words. If I see some stuff in the comments, I can see the comments here. I might throw some of those words into it. And so since we're in a pandemic, how about Terry, you tell me a story about a time that you traveled, vacation or something, since we don't get to travel much nowadays. True story. And then once you start getting cooking, I'll start to throw some words at you. And then, like I said, once you hear the word, incorporate it as quickly as you can. So your story is going to be completely false, but I want you to own it and say it with complete confidence as if that's what happened. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. This will be fun. So I'll go back to one of my favorite trips. Kind of a recent trip was a cruise trip anniversary. My wife and I are big fans of cruises, and that's really not happening much. We were supposed to go on 2 of them, and then right before the pandemic, we got one caused. But on a cruise, and we actually went to Europe. So we flew and went to Lisbon, Portugal to start, and then, which was amazing. And then we took a plane to Barcelona, and then we got on the cruise from Barcelona. What was that?
Umbrella.
And I just remember too, though, before we got on the cruise, it was raining and we didn't have an umbrella. So naturally should have prepared for something like that. We're getting a little antsy. We're trying to figure out how to get an umbrella. People in Europe are carefree, and we don't really speak Spanish. And we were just trying to figure out this umbrella. So we're walking, and there's a lot of cobblestone streets in Europe, right? And then out of nowhere, this snake comes out and scares the shit out of my wife and I. And then we end up running into a bar. And then we stop there, talk with some of the locals. We get out of the rain.
Baloney.
And we're having a great time, having some drinks, having some beer, learning a little bit of the language, which was great. And we asked to see their lunch menu. And one of the things was fried bologna, which just blew my mind. And I just have these crazy memories of eating, and just bad memories of just eating bologna as a kid. And it just, people loved it. And there's a guy sitting next to me who was on his laptop working, which was great in Europe. They just have they have siestas. They're so, like I said, so carefree. Their business, what they do doesn't even define who they are. But he's just chilling on his laptop, and he's like, "Get the bologna sandwich. It's incredible."
Xylophone.
And so it was amazing. And that guy was super nice. Started talking to him about what he does. And he said, he told us he works for a creative agency, but he also then started getting into some of his hobbies. And one of his hobbies is playing the xylophone, which was really interesting to hear. He said he just really picked it up and got into it. And then we started talking about some of the instruments that we attempted to play growing up. But yeah, I was a big fan of the xylophone, big fan of these movies. And we started talking about movies, and then randomly we got talking about the movie Armageddon, which it's one of the most quotable movies that I can remember. And it's so rewatchable as well. Just like Bruce Willis got emotional, Liv Tyler, my wife and I just talking about it. The one guy looking up for the thing, just calling the asteroid for his wife's name because she's like a life-sucking bitch that just don't escape from.
All right, Ed Seed.
Armageddon. And Ed Seed.
Oh my gosh. Lita's right. Terry is just too good at this. Terry is too good at this. So real quick, the debrief real quick. How was that for you, Terry? Because you came across confident AF. What was going through your head? How was it?
Oh man. You know what? It was so much fun, and just trying to apply it to the story and not trying to just keep the momentum going. And I think some of my experience from doing some of these live videos and kind of more thinking on my feet, it definitely helps. But yeah, just it's just fun to have some fun with it and kind of think. I'm excited to rewatch this when I start to throw in words. And it's just maybe see my eyes kind of roll back. I almost paused and asked, did you say Armageddon? And I'm like, oh man.
You just roll with it. Oh,
yeah.
What was challenging? And maybe there was some latency, whatnot, but anything else challenging about that?
Yeah, just trying to come up and just kind of keep the story and not completely go off of just trying to keep it cohesive, where it just doesn't seem like I completely sidetracked and just overthinking it and pausing and fumbling my words. It's just trying to keep the momentum. That was just a little bit challenging, but just take a break and tell the story, just keep it going. Yeah.
And so this is the big question, and this is where the magic happens.
Super fun. I love that game. Everybody, thanks for commenting. I see that Liz. We had bologna from Liz, laptop from Karan. Lena, sorry. Terry's so good at this. Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. How can you see this helping you or helping others? What skills do you think you're getting from this?
I think it helps them kind of showcase their personality. It can just really help build up their confidence too. Because I think a big thing is when we question ourselves of and like you mentioned in the beginning, we're afraid to fail and kind of look stupid. So we don't even take that step out of that comfort zone. Right. But I think if it just shows that you can make progress and put it out there, it just shows you that it's possible and then you can keep going. And I think just in a team perspective, I think just having that ability to see others kind of like be more of themselves just connects them, you know, in a much deeper way than compared to just, like you said, walking stone faced across from each other during the day. You just feel more like cohesive and feel like then like you can speak your mind and you can trust one another.
Yep, that's straight up, and that's one of the things.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to be amazing at this, like Terry. And matter of fact, like in the
did I
beginning,
just nail it? Like, do I need to record this and put it on your website and be like, this?
Right?
Guy?
This guy, like this is what you could strive to be, like right here.
Unbelievable.
But most of the time, and this is the magic, is that most people are going to stumble. Most people are going to make mistakes. But this is the cool thing. It actually causes more empathy for the other people. You're going to get that when you are vulnerable like that. People are going to trust you more. And there was a study where a gentleman had to give this presentation, and it was recorded. And it was played to two groups, and they wanted to know how credible do you think this person was. But what happened was the gentleman spilled coffee on himself, and he apologized profusely. And for one group, they cut that part out, and then the other group, they left it in, and they wanted to know how credible did this person seem. And you would think that, you know, by cutting out that little flub, the people who didn't hear it would think he was more credible. Well, guess what? The people that had that experience, that vulnerable moment from him, said he was 3 times more credible than the other group that didn't hear that. And so this is a great team building activity because people are seeing you vulnerable. People are seeing you struggle, and they got your back. And it's going to build confidence, because when you do this and you like fumble and like whatever, and people are clapping for you, you are going to realize like, wow, all right, this is cool.
Yeah.
You're going to be more likely to like take risks again.
Right.
And it's going to help you. This, like when you're running for a marathon, you have weights. You know, this is the weights. This is the cross training, because this is the worst that can happen. Yeah. Other people are going to throw monkey wrenches in your game, and you'll probably be able to deal with that like that. This is extreme. So.
Yeah. This was awesome. Gary, I want to have you back and do like a happy hour in the Copy Co-op group, and we all just play some games together, man. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah,
that was really cool, man. I'd love to do that game just like around other people. That was so cool. Thanks for sharing that one with us. All right, Gary, I got a couple more questions here. We'll wrap it up the interview. And then guys, if you're just watching, stay tuned after this. We're going to go live on LinkedIn, the Copy Co-op group, and on Twitter to do Whose Tagline Is It Anyway? Speaking of improv, that will be so much fun. But Gary, I ask a lot of people what some of their favorite digital tools are that they use to run their own business. But I'm also curious too, just what's your daily routine like your work routine, and kind of keeps you on task and keeps you positive, even when some days are shittier than the others, right? Yeah.
For me, I read the book Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And it changed my perspective on everything, because my routine before that, like I would get up, check email, and like I would do these things. And I found myself being more like sort of cynical and curmudgeon. And I read a stat that said that you're going to be like less productive if you check email first thing in the morning, because, you know, as we all know, sometimes there's in that inbox is something that throws you off, or if you're checking social media, especially right now, there's going to be something where it's going to like affect you emotionally, and that will stick with you up to 8 hours.
Yeah.
And so in that book, Miracle Morning, Hal talks about his morning ritual, his morning practice. And it consists of savers. That's how you can easily remember it. It's silence, affirmation, visualization, some form of exercise, and S for scribing or journaling. And so I every morning I do. Before my 3-year-old son, I had all the time in the world, and I would, that would just be my morning practice. And I would like, after I'm done, like I feel like energized. I feel powered up for the day. Nice. And then I jump into like my work. Well, now that I have a 3-year-old, like non-negotiable is meditation and visualization. I do that every day. And it's simple. Sometimes if I don't have a lot of time, 3 minutes of focusing on breath, and visualization as in visualizing what are the things that I want to do. And I ask myself this very powerful question. Actually, three powerful questions, and I'll read it to you because I think it will help frame the day for everyone.
Okay.
And this helps me get into the right mindset. So the first question is, and I don't necessarily have to answer it, but I'm just asking it to my unconscious mind so I can like sort of see it. And
Yeah.
it's, uh, what are the moments I want to experience?
Okay.
What do I want to be proud of? And the third one is, what amazingly awesome things will happen to me today?
Wow.
Those are the three things that I ask myself every day. And again, I don't necessarily have to answer, but I'm just asking it to like sort of see it in my consciousness. And so then that is like my morning. And again, like I like to say that I have like this amazing to-do list, and like I jump into work after I do that. I try, I do my best, but I have a 3-year-old, and I'm working from home,
Yeah.
and so my son, he gets up, and he, like, my 3-year-old son, he is such an amazing dude, and I get it because he's like made for me, so I'm like, by biology I have to think
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
but he like has this intuitive knack to know like when I'm stressed, and he knows how to break the tension like no one's business. And he'll come up, and he'll do some things, and like, again, if you have kids and you're watching this, like, you probably get this, like those eyes, like he just comes up and he like looks up at me, and he's like,
Yeah.
hold on, he's like, Dada, can we play? And I'm like, I gotta prep for this live, but all right,
Yeah.
but
Oh my
and
God.
so we do that, but like
Yeah.
my day now consists of, you know I'm either prepping for a workshop, and so like I'm trying to curate games and activities, or I'm delivering a workshop. So, which I love doing. Like I love, like I get off of workshop, like stuff like this. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, my wife's like, are you drinking in the office? Like, no, it's not Mad Men style. Like, but it's like awesome. Or like I'm doing like the tedious types of stuff, and I try to like understand like my rhythms. I'm more creative in the morning, so if I need to do
Yeah.
something of high creative value, I try to do that in the morning, just because that's when I feel like I'm the most like on. But everyone's different. Some people I know,
Right.
some creative professionals are night owls, and I'm like, all right, arrange your day in a way that is going to like utilize your creativeness, and that's why I try not to check any email until after 7 a.m.
Gotcha.
Because I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so I like to make people happy. And if I see an email, especially like something like, hey, can you do this? And it seemed innocent, like something I could do so quickly, but it is the quickest thing to derail my day. And again, it's not perfect. It's not,
Yeah.
there's some days where I'm just like, I do that. But I'm trying to take stock of like how I feel. And that's why I ask myself those questions, so I can hopefully, when I, at the end of my day, look back and like, what did I do today? I'm like, you know what? All right, I did something, that, I am proud of. Like
Yeah.
I was on this show, and I delivered maybe one nugget, one soundbite that someone's going to be like, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So that's my day.
Yeah. Dude, that's incredible. Yeah, man. I like that visualization aspect. I think I may try to do that more in my routine, because I wake up and I do get caught checking my phone a lot, but my wife and I do meditate in the morning before we kind of get into all of that stuff. And I may check my emails, but I make it a priority never to respond until like I'm settled in the office, because I don't want to get stuck, because then I go work out, I have my breakfast, I write in my journal. It's like I don't want that to kind of get delayed. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, awesome.
And what one other thing, if I can just add this,
Yeah.
I noticed. So I lately I've been trying to keep track of like energy levels,
Okay.
of like how am I feeling throughout the day, and instead of like when we take breaks,
Mm,
I'm speaking from my own experience, like maybe going on social media and stuff like that, and it depletes my energy. Like you think it's a break, but it's not. Not all breaks are created equal, and so I like to do something that, is going to bring me some bit of joy, even if it's for
yeah.
like 2 or 3 minutes. And like I did at the start of this, I did like a little mini magic trick. And
Yeah.
I tell people, take a play history. What are the things that when you were younger that you did that brought you joy? And how can you incorporate that in your life in just a little bit of time? Like time box it. And it will make you want it even more. And so when I was going through a moment, about 2 years ago, when a digital marketing agency that I co-founded, we broke up. It was like a
Hmm.
it was a nasty sort of divorce.
Gotcha.
and I found myself just like really sad. But anyways, I was enjoying that. I was like, what is something that I did that I sucked at, but it was so much fun? And it was magic. Like, I love magic. I love everything about magic. And so I started doing magic again. And it was interesting because like this like little dice here, right? Like I felt like sort of like like a blah. But once I started incorporating play, I started like it was awesome. It was like so amazing that it multiplied. My energy multiplied. And so, anyways, whatever.
Nicely done, bravo, sir.
Anyways,
yeah. Does it hit? It hits harder in person, right?
It does. It does.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm just like a goofball anyway. So like I love it. Though, I like doing crappy magic where I'm like, oh, these suck. But anyway, like I don't care. Like I just like doing it just for doing it. Like
whatever. Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I could. Well, not wish I could. I could. I might like. I would love to just learn simple magic tricks just to do like in social situations or things like this, just to kind of break the ice. Things like that. It'd be fun.
People don't. So this is the thing. I don't go around doing magic shows like I'm a David Blaine or like I'm a Justin Willman, because then people have these expectations like you're going to blow their mind. But if people are looking, especially in this virtual world, people have this expectation, oh, I'm on a Zoom call or I'm doing a webinar. And it's like they have an expectation of what to expect. But if you can do something out of the ordinary, they will forgive you. And like, even if you mess it up, it will delight them. And so that's what I do. Like I use magic as metaphors. And even when I botched the magic trick, like I did with that dice thing, it's still because people aren't expecting it.
Right.
They are like, whoa. So
I love and it just like psychology of things. It's like their brain just kind of turns on, dopamine, like, oh my gosh, this is something new. And then you start paying attention again. It wasn't expected. I mean, as a copywriter, you try to do that with some of your words by like saying a common phrase, but then putting a new word in it to really get them to think like, oh shit. That's right. It just
when you were talking about those words, that have influence, that's it. Like those are the things that are going to like light up, the dopamine in people's brains. So
yes. Awesome. Gary, final question, two-parter. I'm really excited to hear your answer for this one. So I'll start with, are you more burrito or pizza?
Do you know where I live?
I do. So
I know. I freaking love burritos. What do you got?
You know what I heard? Because like I'm in Chicago and there's always these lists that come out of like top cities for pizza. And like San Diego has been on there a couple of times at the top. And I'm like, huh?
There's a spot.
Yeah.
When you come, when travel is cool and acceptable, let me know, because there's a spot. The people are from Chicago. That's why they're on the list.
Okay. Yeah. Secret's out. Oh my gosh. But you're a burrito guy. I'm assuming you like the California Baja burrito with the fries.
Love that. Yep. And then also it's like a surf and turf. And there's like some steak, and then there's some shrimp in there, and then they have fries and guacamole and sour cream and some secret sauce, some salsa. Like, it's
all right. So burrito person. Now, if you were to make a success burrito, Gary, what would be the 3 key ingredients in the success burrito?
All right, success burrito. All right, here we go. First and foremost, I already talked about this. This is your foundation. This is your tortilla. This is the thing that's going to start your day. Make sure that you have some sort of ritual that it's going to, power you up. That is the important thing. And then in the success burrito, you need the core ingredients. And we talked about that. That is passion. What are the things that are going to bring you passion because you want to make an impact? And then the third one, I have to say it because it's in my name. It's play. How can you not only play as in jovial stuff, but how can you see your work as play? Let's go. And that is my success burrito.
That is the success burrito. Sounds super delicious. I'm going to go for seconds on that one, which may be tough because burritos are quite filling. But that sounds awesome, Gary. Oh my gosh. Gary, this was so much fun. One of the most fun interviews that we've had on Proceed with Passion. Thank you so much for taking the time, doing the exercise, sharing your story as well. A lot of great insight there. Appreciate everybody watching. Thanks for participating in the game and watching along. And Gary, before we go, floor is yours. Tell people where they can find you. I did have the banner for Breakthrough Play. But anything else that you'd like to promote as well?
Yeah. So if you liked what you heard, hit me up on LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn. Like I'm there somewhere. Let's connect. I'm on Instagram more, at Gary Ware. I'd love to see and hear how you're, what you're doing with this. But it's not about me. It's about you. And you will make my day if you took one thing and started playing with it and then came back to me and said, oh my God, Gary, I did this one thing and it blew my mind. So that is what you can do for me, is just go and use this material for good. So
yeah. Oh, Gary, that was great. And again, thank you so much. And again, everybody watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody watching the replay. Gary, it was a pleasure. Everybody, love what you do. Proceed with passion. And we'll see you on the next Proceed with Passion Live. Take care.